Alright, let's talk. I know that some days feel heavier than it should, but you are allowed to slow down here. There's a strange comfort in being useful. When you are useful, you are needed. When you are needed, you have a place. And for a lot of us, especially in kitchens, in hospitality, or in any service role, usefulness becomes safety. You learn early on that if you are reliable, if you carry more than you share, if you step in without being asked, you won't be questioned. You won't be a problem. You won't be in the way. You belong because you function. And at first, that feels like purpose. In kitchens, usefulness is like a currency. Speed, competence, anticipation, all of those things are rewarded. The quieter you solve problems, the better you are seen, or at least the more you are relied on. But there is a line that gets crossed quietly, without ceremony. At some point, you stop being the person who helps and become help. And once that happens, visibility starts to feel risky because being seen means having needs, it means having limits, it means being human, and systems don't always know what to do with that. So you stay useful. You keep your head down. You don't complain. You don't take up space. You let your work speak for you. And slowly, invisibility becomes the price of belonging. The tricky part is that nobody forces this on you outright. It is learned, absorbed, conditioned. You notice who gets praised and why. You notice who gets ignored and why. And then you adjust. In mental health terms, this is survival logic. If I'm helpful, I won't be abandoned. If I don't need much, I won't be a burden. And if I stay useful, I stay safe. But usefulness is a fragile foundation for identity. Because the moment that you cannot perform when you are tired, sick, overwhelmed, slower than usual, the ground shifts. And suddenly you are asking questions you never had time to ask before. Questions like, who am I when I'm not fixing something? What do I offer when I don't have energy? Do I still belong if I'm not holding everything together? This is where invisibility really starts to hurt, because people are used to what you do, not who you are. And to be clear, this isn't about blame. Most systems aren't cruel, they are efficient. They reward output, not interior lives. Kitchens are especially good at this. They run on momentum. There's always another service, another prep list, another fire to put out. There's rarely time to ask how someone is doing, and even less time to sit with the answer. So usefulness keeps the wheels turning, but it also teaches people to disappear inside their competence. You start editing yourself without realizing it. You share less, you feel less, you simplify yourself so that you don't slow things down. And over time, that creates a quiet loneliness, even when you are surrounded by people. Because being needed is not the same as being known. Being useful doesn't mean you are seen clearly. It often means you're seen narrowly, as a role, function, a solution. And the danger isn't that others don't notice you, it's that you stop noticing yourself. You stop checking in, you stop asking what you need, you stop listening to signals of exhaustion, because there's always something more urgent. And that's how burnout sinks in, not as a collapse, but as erosion. And here is the uncomfortable truth that many of us participate in our own invisibility. Not because we want to disappear, but because being visible feels unsafe. Visibility invites expectations, it invites questions, it invites a possibility of disappointment. If you are useful, you can hide behind results. If you are visible, you have to stand as yourself. And that's a bigger risk, especially if at some point in your life being fully yourself costs you connection. So the goal isn't to stop being useful. Useful is not the enemy. The danger is when usefulness becomes the only way you are allowed to exist. Being useful without being invisible means something subtle but powerful. It means letting yourself be present, not just productive. It means allowing pauses to exist without immediately filling them. It means being willing to be slightly inefficient in the name of being human. In kitchens, this might look like speaking up when you are at capacity. Not over-explaining, just stating. Not apologizing for limits, just acknowledging them. In life, it might look like letting people see you when you are not on. Letting conversations exist without performing value. Letting yourself be quiet without disappearing. This isn't about asserting yourself aggressively. It's about staying connected to yourself while you are serving. But because service without self-connection eventually turns into self-erasure. The people who burn out the hardest are often the ones who cared the most, quietly, consistently, without drawing attention. And they don't need more resilience. They need permission to be seen as a whole. To be tired and still be worthy. To be slower and still be valuable. To exist without constantly proving their worth through effort. Being useful without being invisible is a practice, not a switch. It's noticing when you are shrinking to fit a role. It's catching the moment when you silence yourself automatically. It's choosing gently to stay. Not louder, not harder, just more present. Because the truth is, systems will take whatever you give them, but only you can decide how much of yourself you are willing to disappear in the process. You don't have to abandon service to stay human, but you do have to remember that you are not the service. You are the person showing up. And that matters. That really, really matters. I'm still here. I'm still showing up. I'm still visible, even when we are useful. Thank you for hanging out with me today again. I will see you tomorrow. Please take care.